21 to 23, 24. We've lost about, what, 50 accounts? Just on the residential side alone, we've lost about 8 customers on the commercial side. So anyway, I wanted to point that out to you to give you an indication, an idea of how the customer base is looking, and which leads me to the next slide. This is gas that we purchase through our program. And so when we talk about what I call cost of gas, and it's our cost of what we pay somebody for the gas. We're paying a company to give us the gas. So in this case, it's through this program through West Texas Gas. West Texas Gas provides the gas. So in 21, 22, you can see that big amount, that net amount there is 466. That's how much gas we bought in dollars. Okay? And you can see when we talk about the dollar, what it costs per MMBTU, that is the unit of measure, how they measure gas. So when we're talking about that, those were the rates, and that's what on our end we have no control over. That is market driven. That is not something that we, the city, can control. So when somebody sells us, it's like anything else. When fuel goes up, all this, in this case, our assumption, if I remember correctly, we saw a lot of that during the snowvid. All this, we had a huge increase whenever we saw that storm, and even after the storm, markets were it was pretty chaotic. So that's where you see $466,000, $282,000, and then you have the 23, 24. We're currently at $181,000 of gas that we've purchased. You go to the next slide.
So the price is actually dropping?
It has dropped. In saying that, again, we do not, as far as the control of the gas, what that is really left up to what they negotiate through Municode, through that program that we have. Munigas, I keep saying Municode, but it's Munigas. The amount, and I have finance here, I'll have her go over some of the numbers. The billing, we bill every month, right? We're showing you the yearly bills that we bill and what we actually collect. And you can see that the collection in 21, 22 was pretty much all of it. You have some collection in 22, 23. There were some changes there that I'll let her explain. And then in 24, 23, 24, that's part. So when I refer to collections, that's pretty much your revenues. What you generate, what she bills, those are your revenues. So you want to explain some of the adjustments you've made?
Yeah. So on 2021, 2022, that's kind of when COVID kind of hit, and they were giving you COVID relief, so they were helping pay. For 22, 23, I pulled a report, a monthly transaction report, and we actually had to adjust $22,305.70. So that's money we kind of lost, and that's probably because of snowvid as well. So that's why it affected us a lot.
And those adjustments are made for different reasons.
Those are just for gas reasons. Our main one was, the biggest one of adjustments in that month was April of 2023, and that was for $4,752.36, and that was just for the month of April of 2023.
But can you describe like what the adjustments are made for?
Like misreads, if they have leaks, anything like that. I have a report here as well where it's a reading wrong. The gas adjustment was reading wrong for 6 months and above. It's just misreads, gas adjustments, and stuff like that.
So I wanted to go over that with you, just so you can see kind of what some of the things we're seeing on our end with the collections amount. And again, as you look at that, we anticipate collecting between $500,000 to $550,000 to take into collections. Like this year. This year we anticipate collecting over $500,000. But again, I just wanted to point that out to you that is your revenue. So for the most part, there may be some additional, tax or other fees that we may assess, but that is primarily all the revenue that's generated from the gas system. Can you go to the next slide, please? We have not increased gas rates in the past 5 years. We have not. We've left them the same. What people see on their gas bills, give or take, assuming, and we made some assumptions. I made some assumptions, and this information is also from a report that Mr. Snowden provided to the City Council back in September of 2020, I believe. that's what gas bills look like. So anybody that's using 1,000 MCF, their bill is, on the gas, just gas, is $21.88, and that's your average residential customer. The average peer group is 22.27. The same thing, again, I won't read that out to you because you know, but we wanted to give you some idea and indication of what people's or businesses' gas bills look like whenever we're talking about gas. So, if y'all have any questions about that, I'll be more than happy to answer. But that's what we show, and again, for those of y'all that weren't here in 2020, we have a copy of the study. If you wanna see the study, I'll be more than happy to provide it, and I can get you a copy. Can you go to the next one? I'm gonna have Yomi and Yomi does a good job, and Hector explain some of this, because this is probably the mini, well, I'll just let Yomi
Well,
know.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It was on something that she said about the misreads. When you're saying misreads, is it something that the guys misread, or is it the machine?
It's the machine, or it's like if he's driving too fast with the football, which is, we call it a football. So with the computer, if he's driving too fast, it could pick up wrong. So we'll just go out there and send him back out there and reread it, or it's not, reading correctly. See, they don't go and I'll share something else with you in just a minute when it comes to replacement of meters, which I will bring up in a minute. I don't want to steal my thunder. So I'll let explain some of that in just a
Okay.
minute, but Yomi and Hector can go over some of this other regulatory compliance.
So as a gas system operator, we do fall under regulatory compliance. So on the state level, we report to the Texas Railroad Commission. And then on the federal level, we report to the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Data Administration, which is PHMSA.
Crystal, you can go to the next slide.
And then under those regulations, gas pipeline operators primarily follow regulations outlined in 49 CFR Part 192, which is often referred to as the PHMSA Mega Rule. Key aspects of that regulation are integrity management programs, material verification, record-keeping requirements, operator qualification standards, and procedures for emergency response. They also provide pipeline safety regulations and underground pipeline damage prevention. And so one of those programs that they require is called the DIMP. That's the Distribution Integrity Management Program, and it's a set of rules that require gas distribution pipeline operators to develop a plan to manage the integrity of the system. Operators must identify those threats to their system and then implement measures to address those risks. Our city updated the DIMP plan, which was updated this year with the assistance of a consultant. This update requires months of research and data gathering from the staff to complete. And then all replacement programs do require a minimum annual replacement of 8% of pipeline segments or facilities posing the greatest risk in the system and that have been identified by the DIMP.
So, just to, that information, what she wanted to point, what we're trying to point out to you with Yomi, and I think Hector probably can attest to, and Rudy, is it takes a lot of time to put these reports together. I mean, they're gathering data for months, they literally are. And I know that a lot of times people don't see, what's going on, and on top of that, these are requirements. It's not like we can say, we're not gonna do it. I mean, the Railroad Commission and Hector and Rudy are, luckily they're here, so they're, basically what they're doing is going through this report and saying, these are our most dangerous parts of our gas system. And they're required then to identify those, map that information, make sure that they provide it all, and say what we're gonna do to fix these problems. I don't know, Hector, you wanna add to that as far as what other things you guys do?
I just wanted to add on, she mentioned the 8%. Normally what that means is that they're requiring us to improve 8% of our system that is high risk. They want us to concentrate on the high risk, whether it's the segments of pipe, or the meters themselves, the registers, anything or the valves, anything having to do with the gas system is included in this 8%. And, it's a struggle. I mean, the regulatory, this regulating agency is tough. It's tough on us. It's a lot of intel, a lot of hard work that sometimes it takes us away from our normal routine, daily routine. And I just wanted to point that out, because this is, I mean, it's a lot to endure. Luckily, we have people like Rudy and Yomi, and then on the financial side, we have Alex, which really help us out a lot when it comes to putting this information together for this agency here, because it is a lot. I just wanted to point that out.
They have I'll give you another example. They have something that they caught a call on today that they wanna have a discussion
Oh, yeah.
next week, which is what is it called again?
The standard comprehensive audit.
Yeah.
Standard comprehensive audit, and that, I don't know what that entails, but
I mean, it's a, when I say you wanna explain that one? Comprehensive means the entire audit of your entire system. I mean, every nook and cranny, every piece of information you have, I mean, whatever details you have, anything you've done, performed within that year, or.
So, yeah, they audit anything from all of our inspections, pipeline patrolling, leak records. They also can audit any of our plans, so our operator qualification plan, our DEP, our operations and maintenance plan, our damage prevention plan, our drug and alcohol plan, all of those things.
It's an all-inclusive, and they don't miss anything.
and those things, how long does it take to normally go through something like
It
that?
takes several months to review and make sure everything is following code and making sure everything is
It's a lengthy process.
consistent.
Go to the next one. This is important, back to Brenda's question on this, I mean, it's all important, and again, the regulations are tough to comply with, in my opinion, but it is something. The capital improvements, things that we've done, there's, of course, I don't wanna go into the 8%, but the next item there, in 2014, we entered into a contract with Johnson Controls, and we invested about $264,000. This is a capital improvement for replacement of 639 gas readers. And replace, according to the agreement, we should have replaced 377 gas meters. Now, the difference is when you're replacing, and this is, again, I'm telling you this in a short, when you're replacing readers, you're not replacing the meter, you're replacing a reader to that meter. So we start talking about misreads and some of these things that are happening with these gas meters. You have to consider that some of these meters have been, the whole meter has been there for who knows how long, okay? All you're doing is when you're replacing a reader, you're replacing a component of a meter. And that's what I wanna make sure that we understand, those are some of that's, in my opinion, that's old infrastructure, okay? You have old infrastructure that you're still working with, and you're just fixing, it's like, to me, it's like you have an old car and you go replace the carburetor, well, you still have the old car, right? Similar situation. So that's what we have here. So the city has invested, since 2014, we invested $264,000. In 2016, with the 2016 bond issuance, the city did another capital improvement of $252,000 that were made, and that was replacement of pipe. And then you had about another $474,000 that was also the 474 was part of the 2016 bond project. That was Batico, and some other group, Brush Country, Kentucky, some other group that did that work. Brush Country Energy. So anyway, that's the work that's been done. All in all, that totals about $1 million, okay, that has been done, give or take. And I could be missing some things here and there, but in a nutshell, that's been part of the investment that has been made since 2014. Can you go to the next slide? So what I mentioned to you before, we've lost, since 2007 and 2008, we've lost about 768 customers, okay? The regulatory requirements, as I mentioned, are strenuous, and it's a lot of information. We issued about $1 million in debt, and we're still paying for some of these meters, okay? The gas meters. We're still paying for the meters. And so we don't generate the necessary revenues to pay back the debt for some of these things that we borrow money for, or that we're using, right? meters, 2016 bond issuance. I can go, those, what I mentioned to you, okay? Consequently, what's happening, and this is what the importance here, is the people, the folks that are paying for this are, as far as the debt, are the people that are your water, wastewater, and your taxpayers that are paying for people that have gas services.
And that was from previous.
So you have that, and then the other thing I wanna mention is any further capital improvements, and I'm talking significant, is probably gonna require debt issuance. If you're talking anything, probably anything over, $100,000 or more, we're gonna have to figure out, what we wanna do, and then come up with a plan how to finance any improvements we wanna make, if we decide we wanna keep this gas system. So, you'll go back, Krista? And again, we know this as far as the gas system, it's been in the red, some years are worse than others, but we have not been able to generate what we need to revenue for the gas system to pay for itself, okay? That's in essence what you want at the minimum. So if you go to the next slide, the recommendations here, again, my suggestion to the council recommendation is consider hiring professionals to answer any questions that we may have not answered with this presentation. With the decrease of customer base, increasing costs, and aging workforce, we have the most experienced person, and I hope he's here for another 10 or 20 years, but he at some point will end up retiring, and there's not a lot of folks that have the experience that Rudy's had for he's been here for a long time. And we don't have anybody that I could say, hey, yeah, Rudy has all of the, I don't know, he's got it all up here, but I don't know what's there as far as all the information, but it is a lot of information. And then, we need to consider holding an election and ask voters whether they want to continue to own and operate our gas system. That's my recommendation to the city council.
Fred, we're still, even if the voters decide not to go with the gas, our city taxpayers gonna have to pay that bond?
Yes, well, we're gonna, on that end, those are our liabilities.
Yes.
And so we,
The only thing is, we're not gonna be making any more money off gas and.
no, you are, right now, again, is you're not making any money.
Right.
So right now, what I've mentioned to you, anything that we have to pay back in debt payments, the gas pays zero. Anything we pay back, which is over $2 million in debt, the gas pays zero. And so what I wanna point out, water, wastewater pay some of that debt back, taxpayers through tax rates pay that, but there's nothing to pay back, as far as the dollars that are left after we go through our operating expenses with the gas department. There's no dollars left. So the deadline for the city council to put something, a referendum on a ballot, is February. Krista, you mentioned the date. What was it? February the what?
Forgive me, I believe it's either February 14th or the 16th, which is right. That's the last time to order that election and have that.
That needs to go to the voters. Again, this goes to the voters regardless if you guys decide you want to move forward. But I would like to,
February 14th.
on this end, I would like to ask the council for some direction, preferably tonight, and then for November, give you a deadline to begin the language, to start getting with our city attorney for potential language and anything else we have to cover to put an item on the ballot for February.
You know, council, last year we had an opportunity to hire a professional to give us some of this idea, but Fred and staff have done a great job of bringing this to our attention, which we've known is a problem. And you kind of look at our audit and get an idea about our loss and kind of tell what that is, and it's been consistent. So I'm gonna ask the city secretary and the city manager to put it on the agenda for October. And keep this, look at it and study it, and we need to move forward with the decision.
Put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we have to make that decision
No,
first.
no, yeah.
So I'm gonna, city secretary, go ahead and put that on for October, and let's, come in and talk to Fred, myself.
I would ask during that time, in your October to your February, or October till election, the best we can do is, as best we can is educate the public, to let them know, because that's gonna be the key between now and, let them know what they're voting on, and as get as specific as possible, because you have a 75-year-old system that people have been used to the city operating for.
And please explain about the bonds that were borrowed back then.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with the current council or anything like that.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Before we take this to an election, the community may not be so educated as far as what we're talking about in this type of language. So it's something that, as council, we need to take it to the community, and we need to go